guys, we're back here with another banger video from the Newsom Garage, which is what this garage is it's my grandfather's. Our last name's Newsom, so this is the Newsom Garage. If y'all want to know where the name of the channel came from, there you go. There's a little backstory. But I did a video on this POS the other day, and I wasn't very satisfied with it. It felt kind of rushed, and it felt like it was just clapped together. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more detailed with today's video, and you know, try and make it a little bit entertaining, informative, mostly informative, because you're going to learn a lot of shit today. And I'm going to put up like annotations or put something in the description of times to skip to if you already know something about like what I'm explaining. But if not, you might learn something. Here's a shout out to my friend Trey. Maybe you'll learn something. Like I said in the last video, I felt like I wasn't very detailed, and I just kind of said, hey, here's my Z28. But I'm going to go into a little bit about this car and explain a little bit, and that way you can see that it was pretty cool when I bought it, but not anymore. And so I'm just going to show you around the car and show you all about it. So this is a 1997 30th anniversary, as you can see on the seat, 30th anniversary Chevrolet Camaro Z28. It's I'm going to blur out the license plates. Like I said, 97. It's got C5 Corvette wheels. It's a 6-speed manual transmission. 5.7 liter Chevrolet V8 second gen small block. It's got T-tops. I mean, it's got the hatch. It was a pretty cool car when I first got it and drove it around. I was like, this is going to be pretty sick. But I quickly learned that yeah, it's not always fun to own an old car. But I mean, it is a extremely cool looking car. I got more attention to this and this car when I drove it to school the first day I drove it than I got attention from my V6 Camaro in the entire time that I've been going to my university. But here's a little look at the interior. So it's actually in really good shape. Dash isn't cracked, which was extremely surprising. It's got a Hearst manual short throw shifter. There's the back. There's the hatch area. That's where you store the T-tops. It's got a sick cup holder. Boom! So you got one right here and one right here. This, I believe, was an ashtray, but there's nothing in there anymore. And if you actually open this up while it's running, you can actually feel the heat from the transmission, which is kind of funny. I don't think the AC works. It might just need to be charged, but I haven't messed with it because, you know, it's got the freaking T-tops. Who needs AC when you got the T-tops? It's got 150 on the speedometer, but it will do more than that, I promise. These are brand new reupholstered seats. Like the upholstery is brand new. It's a 5.7 liter Generation 2 small block Chevy. It is one of two of the Generation 2, that being the other one, the LT4. It has pace setter headers, a K&N intake, and I believe it's an extremely mild cam. And on the back it has a MagnaFlow muffler, so just pretty simple bolt-ons. It will beat a 3-valve Mustang, no doubt, when it's running right, if at all. But it's hardly ever running right. So, like I said, I wanted to explain a little bit about what I felt like it wasn't descriptive. So I'm going to explain. I said in the last video that the ignition on these cars is pretty rough and poorly designed. But I want to go into why that is and a little bit more about that. So, Generation 1 small block Chevys, which was anything before the LT1, which came out in 1992, is just a small block Chevy, and their ignition system was a regular old distributor that was driven off the back of the cam at the back of the motor. And that would, you know, the distributor sends spark to all your different spark plugs through the wire plugs. So when they made this motor for the Corvette, the C4 Corvette, it would be a little hard to put a distributor sticking out of the dash, which is where, if it were at the back of the cam, where that would be. So Chevrolet, there were pictures initially of Chevrolet putting coil packs on the valve covers, like you see in a lot of LS motors, well, in all LS motors. But I guess because of lack of time or lack of funding, they went with what's called the Opti-spark. And we'll go into a little bit about the Opti-spark. The Opti-spark is an optical sensor-driven distributor. So it's, I don't know, you won't be able to see it, but I'm going to show you exactly where it is. So I'm going to get a trouble light. That way we can see exactly what I'm pointing out here. I got a retractable trouble light that only likes to retract and not. There we go. My bad. So let me put the. It's hard to. So this right here, this is the water pump, which I'm pointing at right here. That's the water pump. Right under the water pump is the Opti-spark. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would they put something that can't get wet under the water pump? Well, that's what a lot of people are asking. And the reason is, and a lot of people think that they were just high when they were making the motor, but the reason that they actually did that is because it's right on top of the camshaft. And something special about it being right on top of the camshaft is that it doesn't get, it's more precise because it's not getting drag from the valve train. So it's not going through all the valves and hitting all the push rods. It's right on top of the camshaft, so the motor or the computer knows exactly where the camshaft is, and it also has the crank position sensor on the Opti-spark, so that and it knows exactly where the crank and all the pistons are. Now, this is pretty cool because there's 8 teeth on the crank position sensor, so the computer knows exactly where the pistons are. So as soon as you turn the key, within 3 to 2 cranks, the motor will turn over on most LT series. I think it's on a lot of LT motors that it's like that, and that's why. So you actually get more precise timing into the computer, so you can actually get more power from that, which is something pretty cool. Now, obviously, sticking the water pump directly on top of the distributor wasn't the brightest idea. In 1992 to 1994, they all had 3 little tiny holes drilled under the Opti-spark, and that was the only thing they had to protect it from moisture from the water pump or driving through the rain or something like that. Now, in 95 to 97, they came out with what's called the vented Opti-spark. And the vented Opti-spark has a vacuum line hooked up to the rotor and to the actual optical sensor. So whenever the rotor hits the points that sends the spark to the spark plugs, ozone is created because it's arcing. And whenever you have electricity arcing, ozone is created. So what that ozone would do inside of the 92 to 94 non-vented Opti-sparks, that's the phrase I'm going to use for the 92 to 94, is non-vented. So what would happen is that it would just stay in there and it would slowly deteriorate all the bits inside the Opti-spark. But 95 to 97, it came with, like I said, the vented Opti-spark, and those vacuum lines suck all the ozone and the moisture out of the Opti-spark and back into the motor. So it's it's like trying to polish a turd. It's still a turd, but it's a little bit better turd than the non-vented Opti-spark. Like I was saying about the Opti-spark, what's cool is that it has precise timing of where the cam and the crank are, or the crank position sensor sends it to the Opti-spark. So the computer has an exact time of where the cam and crank are and where the motor's setting. Now, the problem is that what tells the Opti-spark to fire? Because obviously there's no coil that's constantly being fired and turned around. Well, that is the ignition control module. And now, the ignition control module is essentially a CPU. And if you're into computers like I am, you know that CPUs get really hot when there's a lot of electricity running through them. So they need to displace this heat. Well, once again, General Motors and all their engineering glory was like, well, let's put it on a cold place because it gets hot. We'll put it on the cylinder head next to the coil. Which, if you think about it, is not, once again, one of the brightest ideas. I love you, General Motors, but man, you really blew it on this one. So, I believe one of the problems I'm having with this car is that my AC Delco ICM was overheating, because once this car got up to operating temperature, it shut off on me. And it was running fine before, that wasn't missing or anything, but it shut off on me. I let it cool down, went back, got my grandpa to pick me up, and then came back to the parking lot about 2 hours later. Motor was cold, turned right over. I'm trying to get it home. I run into 3 stoplights that were at least 5 minutes each. And I think it's a 15-minute trip from my college to my house. And I would have legitimately made it on the stock ICM if I didn't catch those 3 stoplights. But I'm going straight, coming back to my house, and gets up to operating temperature, and the motor shuts off. So I hit the right blinker, manhandled the non-power steering wheel, turned into a neighborhood, and I'd gone to AutoZone and bought a Duralast ICM. And I put this ICM on, cranked right up. So either there's something with the wiring or it's the actual ICM itself. And hopefully I get to cut open my old ICM to see and show you guys if there is anything in fact wrong with that ICM and there's something burnt out in it. However, I have the Duralast ICM currently on there, which has a lifetime warranty. But since I was, stuck on the side of the road when I was putting it on, I didn't put the dielectric grease, which transfers it's conductive, so it transfers the heat ideally from the ICM to the little heatsink. But I didn't reapply it. I just used the old stuff just to get home. And so I'm going to try and reapply that today. I'm going to test my old one down at AutoZone because they can test your ignition control module. And just try and diagnose the problem. Oh, it started missing again, so I'm going to check that number 2 or 3 spark or plug wire and all my plug wires, because that seems to be what usually causes my miss. And I'm going to bring you guys along because I want to teach you something about these unique motors. Oh, and I have to clean out the throttle body and the idle air control. Idle air control valve, because I get bad rev hang, and you can be banging gears when you got rev hang. So let's get to it. Now to get to the ICM, which is right there, gotta pull off the intake, the sweet Canaan intake. I loosened it to, just like that. That was pretty cool. I'm trying to hold the camera steady so I can show you guys. Now when I got the car, these 2 wires right here, which go to the coil, were butt connected just like this, but both the wires were in one hole. So somebody just stuck both the wires in one hole and cut it off. So there was actually bare metal showing. And I guess it grounded out and it blew up my original ICM and blew an ignition fuse, and I think it took out my coil and Opti-spark with it. So I had to change the Opti-spark. But anyways, this is the coil. This is the coil wire that goes onto the distributor, the Opti-spark, and here's your ICM. Here's a little heatsink. We're going to take this apart and just take a look at it. Just unbolt these 2 bolts here. There's another one right here. Alright, I'll undo those by hand, and I'll get the ICM off for us. Get one of my screw bolt bowls and keep those in here. Let's unplug everything first. So let's see, I'm going to take a look at this wiring, make sure it's not shot. It might be causing my ICM woes. Unplug the coil wire that goes onto the distributor. Pull out this bolt. Do a lot of shit I should have done off camera. Ah, fuck! Okay, if you stayed with me to that last little scene, my trouble light fell on my head and burnt my arm, but we're back. I'm still taking off the coil and the ICM. However, I'm going to pull this cord a little bit over here some, so I don't, shit. I'm scared of the thing now. There we go. There we go. Hopefully I don't have it falling on my head anymore. But as I was saying, gotta pull the plug out of the coil, and here we are. I don't know what this is called, but this hole. Let's get it out of the light a little bit. That thing right here, that's a jack handle for my jack. But what I was trying to show you is the coil and the ignition control module. This little bracket houses both of them. And I'm going to see if I can't relocate the ICM somewhere else so it doesn't get so hot. But I'm going to have to keep the coil exactly where it is, because you want, ideally, the coil to be as close to the distributor so you get the best charge from your coil. but I'm going to take it apart and I'm going to show you guys what all it consists of. Okay, so here's the here, I'm gonna zoom in. Here's the Icm Heatsink, which tries to dissipate some of the it's a little piece of aluminum. It tries to dissipate some of the heat from the Icm. And here's the Icm. Now, just like on a CPU, like I said, if you're into computers, you have to use what's called thermal compound to put between the two. Now, I don't have any thermal compound, but this came with the Icm. So hopefully it's just as good. And less is, not necessarily less is more, but you don't want to go too gung-ho with it. You just want a little dab just like that. And you'll stick it on there and you'll kind of make sure it's evenly displaced. I'm going to do that with both hands, so I'm going to have to put the camera down. So we've got the Icm reinstalled. I got my pesky, whatever this wire is. I don't even know what this wire is. It goes to something. I'm not going to mess with that because these wiring harnesses, sorry. So I got the Icm put back on. I got the coil plugged in, coil plug, Icm plug. This is the MAF plug that I've had to rewire because the other connector was cut or it was coming apart. But it's good now. So what I'm going to do now is jack up the, maybe you can see the Icm better now. Not the Icm, the Opti-spark a little bit better now. There's the Opti-spark. Here, I'm going to get a flashlight or a trouble light. This is good. So you guys can see what has caused me all this pain. It's what that plug's connected to, that little bit of aluminum with the plug. That's the distributor. It's right underneath the water pump. And to change it, you actually have to pull off with the crankshaft pulley, which is right there, and the water pump. And so, I don't think you have to pull anything else off, but yeah, I'm going to get the car jacked up and look at the plug wires. Okay, so on this side of the car, I'm going to jack it up, take the wheel off just so I can move around a little bit easier, and take a look at this side of the plug wires, because last time this is the one that was cut. If it is cut, I'm going to have to figure out a way to move it from being cut, because I don't know why it keeps getting cut. It's nowhere near the belt, but we'll find out. Got the other wheel off and jacked it up, put it on a jack stand. I guess I wasn't recording. But let's take a look up under the car and we'll find out what it's looking like on this magnificent failure, I guess. It wasn't a failure, but it just wasn't a success, that's for sure. Shit! Alright, so I don't know where I left off, but I started the car, or I put the Icm and all that stuff. I checked the plug wires. None of the plug wires were cut. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I don't know what's causing this misfire. It might be a fouled up plug, but I don't think so. I'm going to check to make sure that they all have their plug wires on the actual plug. None of them fell off and, that whole dealio. But, holy shit. No shit, one of the plug wires fell off. I'm glad I caught that, because that is a genuine reaction. I just found that out. That's good news. Okay, it'll run fine now. Great. I just gotta make sure it's not cut up. Well, hey, I'm in a lot better of a mood. Damn, that's pretty badass. I don't remember what I was gonna say. Shit. Alright, so I just discovered that the plug wire was not sitting on top of the spark plug, which was excellent news. So I'm going to start the bitch up, and hopefully it don't misfire. I don't think it will, but you never know with an LT1 motor, I'll tell you what. There's the key, going into the ignition, clutch in. Gotta plug the Icm in, but that's alright, because that's easy. there's the ICM. She's plugged in. There we go. Like a dream. Like a freaking dream. Woo! That's money. That's good money. It should have sounded pretty rad because I didn't have the intake on, so it was just sucking straight into the throttle body, which, like I said, does need to be cleaned. Alright, so as you've hopefully seen, I look white as a ghost just because of the light, but I don't care because I'm so freaking excited because this thing's running right again because of freaking plug wire fell off the spark plug. What the hell? But I'm going to put the intake back on. I'm going to take it around the block and oh, I'm going to plug in the old ICM, let it get up to operating temp and see if it cuts off because I want to see what's up with that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm gonna put the. I'm gonna clean the throttle body tonight. I'm gonna show you guys what entails in cleaning the throttle body and the idle air control valve. It's gonna be a banger. This is gonna be a banger episode. So much stuff's going on. When I started the car up, I did open the garage so I wouldn't, you know, just breathe in straight exhaust. What else was I gonna say? Who knows? But I'm pretty hyped because I got a running piece of shit Chevy. I got 3 different Chevys, and only one of them's a piece of crap. So that's a 66% success rate, and I'll absolutely take that. So I'm just going to do like a quick, I'm probably just going to do a time lapse of me putting the, actually I'm not going to put this on if I'm doing the idle air control valve. I'll pop the camera on if anything interesting happens. Got the Z28 sitting here, idling. We're going to let it get up to operating temp. And once it gets up to operating temp, we're going to see if it'll shut off or not. It's going to be pretty sick. Alright, so I just went around the block. Drives fine, revs smooth. And I don't have a flashlight or nothing, but the street lights are pretty bright enough. So I gotta ritually unplug the ICM so it doesn't get stolen, because that's the whole shebang around here. And I've done this so many times that I can do it in the pitch black. Oh, burnt my hand, ow, ow, ow. Done, easy, like a slice of pie. There we go.